Each cruise line has their own private beaches that are sort of standard stops on each itinerary, but this was our first stop at Princess Cruise Line's Princess Cays. I've already posted all of my cruise prep videos, so that was sort of packing for the cruise, the ocean medallion with its unboxing and my review, all of those sorts of videos, and I've also already posted my ship tour of the Crown Princess, as well as a sort of souvenir haul from this entire cruise. So if you're interested in any of those will be linked in the description box down below. And don't forget to subscribe and ring the little bell for notifications, because I have plenty more videos just like this one that are going to focus on every port that we went to on this cruise, as well as what we did on sea days and having afternoon tea at sea. Once the Crown Princess made it to Princess Cays, we were too big of a ship to pull up to the pier, so we had to use the water shuttle. The ship announcements that morning told us to head on down to the Explorers Lounge, where we could get tickets for the water shuttle. There was already a pretty decent crowd when we got there, so I was a little bit nervous, but we actually didn't have too long of a wait, and we were called to head down and board the shuttle. So we made our way down to Deck 4, which is where we sort of boarded and disembarked each time we had a port, but the lines were a little bit crazy for this first day because everybody was trying to go at the same time. And as I said, this is the only time that I used the water shuttle on this trip, so I don't know if it's always this crazy, but just in the time from where I could see the water shuttle from the ship to where I actually boarded the shuttle, I saw them have to stop people from boarding several times because the shuttle was just moving so much that it was a little unsafe for people to board, so they'd have to stop and wait, readjust the shuttle, let everything calm down, and then start reboarding again. So that was a little nerve-wracking and while you're standing there waiting to board the shuttle, but eventually everything did calm down and I boarded and I got my seat, and then we just had to wait for everyone else to board and then ride the shuttle into Princess Cays. We didn't have a super detailed plan for Princess Cays. We just sort of wanted to wander and check everything out, but we did want to make sure that we took some time to do some snorkeling because we had just bought some new snorkeling equipment from Amazon and we wanted to test all of that out before our actual scheduled snorkeling excursions later in the trip. So once the water shuttle landed, we sort of hugged left from the marina past the first aid station. Along the way, there was one decent-sized souvenir stand in a building, as well as several sort of free-standing little shops, and between all of those, they had a pretty decent selection. So if there's that one crucial item that you are kicking yourself for forgetting to pack, don't worry, they had a pretty good selection of all that sort of thing in there. Sunscreen, hats, sunglasses, all of that sort of business was in the shops. So I don't know what they were all priced at because we weren't spending a lot of time in shops here, but if there's that one crucial thing that you can't believe you didn't remember to bring, they probably have something there, and feel free to take a look at all the different shops. During all of our wanderings, we saw there were a ton of available beach chairs, so if at first you're having a hard time finding one that is sunny enough or shady enough for your personal preferences, just keep wandering. Don't worry, there were plenty of chairs available. We passed the Banana Beach Bar and the first buffet and made our way past the Davy Jones Locker and Snorkel Rental, which is possibly the best name ever, and headed over towards the offshore pavilion to kind of get a nice little look at the whole island, get some good views of the ship, and just sort of take everything in for a little bit. Once we had perused to our satisfaction, we claimed a couple chairs and suited up for some snorkeling. The first snorkel area that we tried out was actually around the offshore pavilion. You sort of enter to the left of the pavilion and then you snorkel around it and then down the beach just a little bit. It was definitely not completely empty. There were some other people snorkeling with us, but it certainly was not crowded. We didn't feel rushed by the people behind us and we weren't held back by people in front of us. So we were able to go very much at our own pace, and it was very fun, very pretty, plenty of fish and things to see right there by the pavilion. We We were super happy with our snorkeling purchases. We had gotten ourselves some snorkel vests, and they were hot pink for me and turquoise for him. So that was nice because the colors stood out from the crowds that were usually using rented and borrowed snorkeling equipment. So our colors were different from everybody else's, so we were able to spot each other in any sort of crowd situation. They inflate with the little tube on the side here, just like the ones that you would get from an excursion. You can inflate them as much or as little as you would like. And they did have a sort of waistband that snapped on to somewhat hold them in place. But then the best part was that they had 2 leg straps, one for each leg, as opposed to the ones that you usually borrow that have 1 strap that goes down between your legs. The 2 straps were way more comfortable, and they definitely helped keep the vest from riding up. So I definitely am glad that we got the vests of our own. But we also got some of the full face snorkel masks, which was also a great buy. There's just a much better sort of field of vision in them, but also they were much more comfortable around my mouth and nose region, and I thought it was a lot easier to breathe in those. I have asthma, so breathing is a little bit hard for me in some situations, and even in the snorkeling, even with the new masks, I feel like I get tired a little bit quicker than some people because of that, so having the better mask was definitely much better overall, and again, great purchase. Once we got out of the water, we walked past all the private cabanas to go back to our chairs and sort of dry off and soak up some sun until the buffet opened. The food was pretty standard barbecue fare with like burgers and hot dogs with some coleslaw sort of sides, some fresh fruit, and then a few simple desserts like cookies. Now that we were dried off and fueled up, we decided to walk back in the direction we had come, but this time we went past the marina to check out the other side of the beach. This side of the beach was definitely calmer and quieter. They weren't playing as loud of music, there were fewer people in general, so definitely a calmer vibe, but they do have a buffet and bathrooms and a bar and plenty of chairs, so if you are into that more calm, quiet, relaxing sort of vibe, I would head to that side of the beach rather than the side with the pavilion. Neither side was particularly party central and wild and crazy, but the second side was just a little bit calmer and less populated, so we ended up really enjoying sort of relaxing over on that side. From our first snorkel session that morning, I was already pretty happy with the fit and function of my snorkel gear, so I decided to sort of just vegetate in the chairs and right at the very edge of the water while my husband did a little more snorkeling on this section, but he said there really wasn't much happening over here, so if you're really interested in some good snorkeling at Princess Cay's, I would stick over by the pavilion. The other side just really didn't have as much. There were very few fish. There wasn't really much to see on that end of the beach. Alas, all good things must come to an end, and eventually we had to make our way back to the water taxi. I thought it was a really nice touch that the Princess crew members were waiting there with ice water and cool damp towels after a long hot day in the sun with all the salt and the sand. That was really refreshing and nice, and I really appreciated that. We dropped by our stateroom to get cleaned up and change, and then we headed up to the deck to watch Sail Away. Then we found a couple of nice chairs to enjoy the wake and the sunset, and just enjoyed a nice couple of minutes together before heading down to the Michelangelo dining room for dinner. After a beautiful dinner and delicious desserts, we headed over to the Explorers Lounge. They were doing a what the heck trivia game show sort of entertainment, and I highly recommend any of the game shows that they offer. We did really horrible at the trivia, but it was so random that it was a lot of fun, and we enjoyed all the different game shows that we went to, so I highly recommend any of those. Plus, the bar servers are making the rounds pretty regularly through these events, and there's nothing nicer after a long day in the sun than a nice after-dinner cocktail. So that was our beautiful day at Princess Cay's. What's your favorite part of Princess Cay's, or what are you looking forward to most on your upcoming trip? Let me know in the comments down below. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you next time.